You, when you dress up, like y'all got some hot mamas in the WNBA. Focus on what the guys like.
When Shaquille O'Neal joined Angel Reese's podcast, no one expected what happened next. In just 1 hour, Shaq managed to praise Reese's biggest rival to her face and make inappropriate comments about her appearance, from comparing her to a forgotten NBA player to fixating on her little ass shorts. This might be the most uncomfortable podcast moment of 2024.
Bro, imagine you...
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shorts you had on at the Wild 'N Out show, dunking. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
what?
God.
What?
Oh God.
Them same little shorts you had on.
Okay, all right.
Bro.
The craziest part, this wasn't just any guest. This was Reese's mentor, her father figure. Before we dive into exactly how everything went wrong, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss this breakdown of one of the most awkward moments in sports media history.
But when y'all walk into the game, and men are watching the game, hey man, we like what we like. Oh my gosh, we like what we like. So we like that, and then we see you see y'all dunking, man, y'all money gonna go up tremendously.
The story of Shaq and Angel Reese wasn't just another case of an NBA legend mentoring a young star. This relationship ran deep. When Reese needed someone to escort her on LSU's senior day, a moment usually reserved for parents, she chose Shaq. When she signed her groundbreaking deal with Reebok, Shaq was the one making it happen behind the scenes. "He's so genuine," Reese told USA Today earlier this year. "He's been there for me through tough times. He just gets it, and there's not a more perfect person for me to be tight with." Those words would come back to haunt her. See, Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel, was already facing an unexpected challenge. Every single episode somehow turned into a Caitlin Clark appreciation show. It didn't matter who the guest was or what topic they started with. All roads led to Clark. It was like a basketball version of Beetlejuice. Say women's basketball 3 times, and suddenly everyone's talking about Clark.
Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark, besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
Social media had a field day with it. At this point, just rename it The Caitlin Clark Show featuring Angel Reese, one fan tweeted. Another pointed out, 6 straight episodes about Clark, on Reese's own show. For Reese, who was trying to control her own narrative after being cast as women's basketball's villain, this must have been frustrating. Then came the announcement. Shaquille O'Neal would be joining the podcast. Reese's fans thought this was it. Finally, the biggest name in basketball, an LSU legend, would set things straight. After all, Shaq had every reason to be Team Reese. The LSU connection, the mentorship, his previous skepticism about Clark, everything pointed to this being Reese's moment to shine. The October 24th episode started normally enough. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Shaq transformed into Clark's biggest cheerleader. "She can shoot threes from logo. We never seen that before. That's my point. She's like a little Steph Curry." Watch Reese's face in this moment. It's like watching someone realize they've accidentally invited their ex to their wedding.
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
But that wasn't even the worst part. During a discussion about improving the WNBA, Shaq suddenly veered into territory that made everyone uncomfortable. "Bro, imagine you in those little ass shorts you had on at the Wild 'N Out show, dunking. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, you trippin'?" Remember, this is a 52-year-old man talking to a 22-year-old woman who sees him as a father figure. Reese tried to laugh it off with an uncomfortable, "Oh my God." But Shaq didn't take the hint. What? Those same little ass shorts, he persisted, even as Reese tried to change the subject with repeated, "Okay, all right."
Bro, imagine you
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shorts you had on at the Wild 'N Out show, dunking. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
what?
God.
What?
God.
Them same little shorts you had on.
Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right.
Bro.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more awkward, Shaq dropped what might be the most backhanded compliment in podcast history. You're the female Anton Jameson. Now, for those of you wondering who Anton Jameson is, exactly. That's the point. We're talking about a player who scored 20,000 points, made 2 All-Star appearances, and won exactly 0 championships. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He barely cracks the top 200 NBA players of all time.
You know who you are? You're the female Antoine Jameson. You know who Antoine Jameson is? He got 20,000 points with his shot. Whatever your shot is. Like, everybody's shot ain't gonna be Steph Curry. Your shot is your shot. Your shot got you a women's national championship. Your shot got you in high contention for being rookie of the year, which I think you would have won if you didn't got hurt.
Imagine telling Tom Brady, "You remind me of Dave Krieg," or telling LeBron, "You're like Glenn Rice." That's essentially what Shaq did to Reese, and he did it on her own show right after comparing her rival to Steph Curry. Social media exploded faster than a Steph Curry three-pointer. Angel Reese learned a painful lesson about men through Shaq in real time, I fear, wrote one user. Very uncomfortable. I hate when old dudes do stuff like this to young girls, commented another. The reactions weren't just about the inappropriate comments. People were stunned by Shaq's complete 180 on Clark. Shaq really chose Clark over his own mentee on her show. But to really understand why this hit so hard, we need to talk about the Reese-Clark dynamic. This isn't just another sports rivalry. Clark emerged as the golden girl of college basketball, breaking Pete Maravich's scoring record and drawing unprecedented attention to the sport. Her game started pulling NFL-level viewership numbers. Even people who'd never watched women's basketball knew her name. Reese, meanwhile, embraced the villain role after the championship game gesture. She turned it into a brand. The podcast was supposed to be her platform to control that narrative. Instead, it became yet another stage for Clark's growing legend. And Shaq wasn't done. After the Jameson comparison, he went on to critique Reese's game. Oh, she can't be Rookie of the Year because all she do is do the flip shots. Just remember, this is the same man who told USA Today, he doesn't care about me as a player, he cares about me as a person. Apparently, caring about her as a person meant making comments about her shorts and diminishing her achievements. The basketball world took notice. Rebecca Lobo, never one to hold back, pointed out, this is exactly what women in sports still deal with. Either you're compared to men, or you're reduced to your appearance. Sometimes both in the same conversation. Candace Parker added her perspective. The mentor-mentee relationship in women's basketball is crucial. This kind of interaction can damage that dynamic for future generations. Even Stephen A. Smith, a man who makes his living having strong opinions about everything, could only tweet, "Shaq, brother, what are you doing?" The numbers tell their own story. Clark's final college game drew 18.7 million viewers. WNBA draft tickets sold out in minutes. Jersey pre-sales broke records. Her social media engagement rivals NBA stars. But should that success come at the cost of diminishing other players? Should Reese have to sit through her mentor praising her rival while making inappropriate comments about her appearance? The landscape of women's basketball has undergone a remarkable transformation, largely catalyzed by the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark. What began as a story of skepticism from WNBA veterans has evolved into one of universal acclaim, marking a pivotal moment in the sport's history. Initially, WNBA legends approached Clark's rising stardom with reservation, viewing her as possibly another product of media hype. However, her exceptional performance on the court has systematically dismantled these doubts, converting even the most skeptical observers into ardent supporters. Diana Taurasi's journey from critic to advocate perfectly exemplifies this shift. The WNBA icon, known for her exacting standards and competitive spirit, now stands as one of Clark's most prominent supporters. It's amazing what Caitlin's been able to do in her short career, Taurasi affirms. The one thing that I love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in. Taurasi particularly commends Clark's resilience under pressure and her consistent improvement, noting that her future is super bright. Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve has emerged as another influential voice in Clark's corner. Drawing parallels with NBA superstar Stephen Curry, Reeve highlights Clark's transformative impact. Think what makes her special. Everyone will talk about the logo threes, and, Steph Curry did that for the NBA. Think about his popularity because of his ability. This little guy running around splashing threes everywhere. It's exciting. The impact of Clark's presence extends far beyond verbal endorsements. Her games consistently draw unprecedented viewership numbers, providing tangible evidence of her ability to captivate both dedicated fans and newcomers to the sport. This surge in audience engagement represents a significant milestone for the WNBA, demonstrating Clark's unique ability to expand the league's reach. The evolution of opinions surrounding Clark marks uncharted territory for women's basketball. With basketball luminaries like Shaquille O'Neal joining WNBA veterans in their praise, Clark has transcended her initial status as a promising rookie or media sensation. She has emerged as a transformative figure in women's basketball, setting new benchmarks for excellence and possibility within the sport. This shift in perception carries profound implications for women's basketball's future. As more legends of the game align behind Clark, they're not just validating her individual talent. They're establishing new parameters for what's achievable in women's basketball. This evolving narrative is inspiring the next generation of players to dream bigger and push beyond established boundaries, potentially reshaping the sport's future landscape. The real irony here? Clark's success should be lifting all of women's basketball. Instead, it's become a wedge, creating uncomfortable moments like this one, where even Shaquille O'Neal, LSU legend, Reese's mentor, her self-proclaimed father figure, can't help but jump on the Clark bandwagon at the worst possible moment. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just weeks before this podcast, Reese had been singing Shaq's praises to anyone who would listen. He was her escort at LSU's senior day, a moment usually reserved for family. He helped broker her Reebok deal. He was supposed to be in her corner. Instead, he turned her own podcast into another chapter of the Caitlin Clark story. For those who've been following women's basketball, you might remember when Shaq was actually a Clark skeptic. During the 2023 National Championship game, he wasn't buying the hype. But watch his complete transformation on Reese's podcast. She's doing stuff we never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. And I was a hater, 'cause I'm down. She was like, she not gonna hit that shot and bam! Damn, she not gonna hit that shot. What happened on this podcast isn't just about one awkward moment or even about the Clark-Reese rivalry. It's about the challenges women athletes still face in 2024. They're either being compared to male players, having their appearance commented on, or both, sometimes by their own mentors. Think about it. In 1 hour, Reese had to sit there while her mentor compared her to a forgettable NBA player, repeatedly praised her biggest rival, made multiple comments about her shorts, criticized her playing style, all while she tried to maintain her composure and host her own show. The aftermath of the episode was swift and brutal. Basketball analysts and fans alike pointed out the irony of Reese's podcast becoming a platform for Clark's adulation. Comments flooded in, with one particularly biting observation noting 6 straight pods talking Caitlin. The perception that Reese's show had been overshadowed by Clark's success was growing stronger by the minute. As the dust settled on this ill-fated podcast episode, it became clear that its impact would extend far beyond a single awkward interview. The incident served as a stark illustration of how Clark's influence was reshaping the landscape of women's basketball, forcing even established stars to reckon with her rising prominence. Shaquille O'Neal knows talent when he sees it. Shaquille O'Neal knows a baller when he sees it. As both Clark and Reese enter the WNBA, they're walking into a league that's changing rapidly. Clark's bringing unprecedented attention to the sport. But with that attention comes scrutiny, pressure, and sometimes uncomfortable moments like this podcast. The questions this raises are bigger than basketball. How do young athletes choose mentors who truly have their best interests at heart? How do they maintain their authenticity while building their brand? And how does the WNBA protect its young stars while promoting healthy competition? Some fans have suggested that Reese should rebrand her podcast as The Caitlin Clark Show, hosted by Angel Reese. But the joke hits at a deeper truth. Women athletes often find themselves fighting for control of their own narratives, even on their own platforms. As we wrap this up, consider this. What message does it send when a respected mentor like Shaq can't make it through one podcast without both diminishing his mentee and making inappropriate comments about her appearance? What does it say about how far we still have to go? If you've made it this far, you know this story is bigger than just one uncomfortable podcast moment. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Was Shaq wrong for praising Clark on Reese's show? Should he apologize for the shorts comments? How should the WNBA handle these situations? Remember, in sports as in life, sometimes the most revealing moments happen when people think the cameras aren't watching. But in this case, they were rolling for every uncomfortable second. Till next time.